Russian forces have pushed towards the frontline by the Donetsk town of Avdiivka as the latest map of their offensive shows their marginal gains amid reports of high troop losses. This strategically important and fiercely contested town lies right on the front line in eastern Ukraine and has been described as the gateway to the city of Donetsk, which has been occupied by Russia and its proxy forces since 2014. Russia launched a major offensive on the town earlier this month and fighting has intensified in recent days, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky describing the situation as particularly tough. British defense officials have said the Russian assaults in Avdiivka have contributed to a 90% increase in Russian casualties recorded by Ukraine. Russian investigative website Agentstvo, citing data from Dutch open-source intelligence defense analysis website Oryx, said on Monday that 1 in 10 Russian equipment losses since Kyiv launched its counteroffensive in June had occurred in the previous 10 days, coinciding with intensifying clashes in Avdiivka. The Institute for the Study of War (ISW), a US-based think tank, said on Monday that Russia's forces had made confirmed advances northeast of Avdiivka, as Russian sources said that troops had moved forward just over a mile in the area in the past few days. The ISW noted claims from Russian military bloggers that Ukrainian forces had counterattacked near Avdiivka and also near the waste heap northwest of the town, which is a contested, gray zone, but did not make any confirmed advances. The think tank's daily maps outlined the situation on the ground, and its graphic on Monday indicates how geolocated footage showed Russian advances southwest of Krasnohorivka and neighboring Stepov, both located north of Avdiivka. The ISW also noted other claims and counterclaims from Russian sources, with one saying on Sunday that Moscow's forces had broken through to the waste heap and railway near Stepov and pushed Ukrainian forces back. A Ukrainian source said Russian troops had advanced within 3 miles and southwest of Avdiivka. The ISW said earlier this month that Russian forces were focused on the area in order to stop Ukrainian forces from redeploying to other areas of the front. However, Kyiv was aware of this move and so were unlikely to unduly commit manpower to this axis. Newsweek has contacted the Russian Defense Ministry for comment. The reported high Russian losses in the fight for the town come as the British Defense Ministry said that since the start of the war, Moscow has suffered up to 190,000 permanent casualties, comprised of those killed and wounded. Those figures did not include troops from the mercenary Wagner Group, which was headed by Yevgeny Prigozhin until he died in a plane crash in August. Kyiv's forces are fending off Russian offensive operations across the front line, Ukraine's general staff has said. This push by Moscow could be part of its plan to grasp the initiative, after weeks of facing Kyiv's counteroffensive, a military analyst has told Newsweek. The Institute for the Study of War (ISW) said on Monday that Russian offensive operations are taking place near the Kupiansk-Svatov-Kreminna line, in the Donetsk-Zaporizhia Oblast border area, and in western Zaporizhia Oblast, where they have made confirmed gains in some areas. The think tank also reported that Moscow's troops had pushed Ukrainian forces back from newly captured positions in Kherson Oblast. These pushes come as Russia continues to conduct airstrikes at military and civilian targets in Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson Oblasts, Ukraine's armed forces said on Tuesday. Kyiv also said that its forces had repelled Russian attacks on the Lyman, Marina and Bakhmut axes of the front. Russia's push for Avdiivka in Donetsk Oblast, which started around 2 weeks ago, has made the most headlines and is said to have resulted in heavy losses. The fiercely contested town lies on the front line and is the gateway to the city of Donetsk, which has been occupied by Russia since 2014. However, Russia has made confirmed advances in the area over the last few days, according to Russian military bloggers cited by the ISW, hinting that nearly 5 months since Ukraine's counteroffensive started, Moscow is hitting back. The Russians have been pushing in some locations, possibly trying to grasp the initiative after a more passive, defensive phase, open-source intelligence and military analyst, Emil Kastelny, told Newsweek. The strongest push is happening in Avdiivka. Even though the Russian losses are significant, the attack still continues, he said. Russia has not made much actual progress anywhere yet, and it's unclear if they actually have the capabilities to conduct a coordinated offensive throughout the front with larger strategic goals or just a series of smaller attacks in suitable places, he said. It's possible the Russians want to concentrate their offensive forces in a relatively small area with more limited goals, Kastelny said. One of the main points the current situation signals is that the Russians still seem to have expendable mechanized reserves. Ukraine has not breached Russian defense lines in Zaporizhia in its counter-offensive, and Jack Watling, a senior research fellow at the Royal United Services Institute, wrote in a commentary last week that Kyiv would be highly unlikely to break through towards Bakhmut this year, unless Russian forces decide to withdraw. Kyiv must fight carefully if it is to retain the initiative, Watling wrote, adding that both sides' ability to expand the scale of their operations is limited by training opportunities. Faced by high losses, Russia has to commit replacement troops to keep up the strength of its units, he said. If Ukraine can maintain high casualties among Moscow's forces, it might be possible to suppress Russia's ability to train sufficient new troops to the standard needed to effectively conduct offensive action. But as Kastelny told Newsweek, some speculated during the autumn that the Russians were running out of men. However, there was no clear proof of this then, and even less now. The General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces reported on October 24 that Russia had lost 295,510 troops in Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale invasion on February 24 last year. This number includes 810 casualties Russian forces suffered just over the past day.